Hi there, this is Kid. It's Christmas time, but if you're doing IBHL this year, like the coming May, I'm sorry, there's no holiday for you. Your holiday is over. You should be getting back to do more past papers, do more exercise, and do all the review right now. Now this video is gonna be doing on a higher level question. It's basically 2010 time zone 1, number 13. It's basically the last long question. I do this based on a request from a bunch of my viewers. He said that he has problem. I don't know if he is he or her, by the way. Say that he or she has problem on a question with the codes. Okay, M101Z113. I hope that she means this one. If you're not, please tell me. Yeah, I will do it again for you. But just to make this breakdown complete, I would go over the whole question, even though that it seems that you only have problem on part C. So if you really don't want to listen to me right now, you can jump and go to the back. Okay. So let's start. I didn't have time to print this out, so it's on my tablet. I will copy the question onto the paper before I do this, so I hope it wouldn't serve as a very bad problem for you. It's basically a trig identity question with a combination of induction, mathematical induction. I haven't shown doing any induction in this video, so I guess it would be a good idea. Okay, so part A, they want you to show that. Okay, show that psi 2nx equals to psi, okay, 2n plus 1 x cosine x minus cosine 2n plus 1 x psi x. Oh, excuse me. Just from this, you know that you kind of need to use the compound formula. Yeah, excuse me. So you go to the formula booklet. Yeah, Hong Kong is kind of freezing right now. I don't know where you come from, but 15 degrees is pretty cold for me already. So yeah, so you see the compound angle formula. It's basically in the form of psi, cosine, cosine, psi. So it looks good, psi, cosine, cosine, psi. And you can see that there is a minus in between. So you kind of know that you need to use minus in this one, which is like A minus B, okay? So it's basically serves as a great hint for you to do your thing. There isn't much to do. So 2nx is obviously 2n plus 1x minus x. So 2n plus 1 minus 1 is 2n, right? And then you apply the formula. So it's the psi, the first one, okay, cosine the second one, minus cosine the first one, times psi the second one. Done. Okay, simple as that. Probably everybody can get it. B is the induction part. B. So by induction, they want me to prove that cosine x plus cosine 3x plus cosine 5x plus all the way up to cosine 2n minus 1 x cosine is sine 2nx divided by 2 sine x. Okay, for all, by the way, this is the symbol for all. This for n positive integer. Okay, and also the questions give that psi is not. Okay, can you see it? Psi is not equal to 0. It's just for the sake of the fraction. It probably wouldn't affect our proof. Okay, so let's do this induction. So the first induction step, as always, I want to prove that for the case of n equal to 1, okay, it's right. So the left hand side is obviously just cosine x. The right hand side is cosine 2nx over 2 cosine x. While n is 1, so it's just 2x. Okay, so sine 2x. Well, just the 2 would remind you to use the double angle formula, which is 2 psi x cosine x over 2 sine x. Let's cancel out cosine x. Therefore, the case, okay, for n equal to 1 is true. The second step, assumption part. So you want to assume that the case for n equal to k, for some k, let's say positive integer, is true. Okay, that is, now it's good to write this that is part. That is just to show you that what does this assumption means. Okay, so do this, you basically look at the question and change the n to k. So what I mean is, if you add sine x to sine 3x to sine 5x, sorry, cosine of them, cosine, and then up to cosine 2k minus 1x, that would be the same as sine 2kx over 2 sine x. All right. So now we can start our induction part. Okay, so for n equal to k plus 1, okay, the left-hand side would become cosine x plus cosine 3x plus all the way up to, and you need to, sorry, for the n you change it to k plus 1. So change to k plus 1. So cosine 2 minus 1. And then the next one is 2k k plus 1 minus 1, okay, like this, equal to the left-hand side of the first part by the induction assumption, okay, they look exactly the same, it's already this. So it's sine 2kx over 2 sine x plus this. We simplify the bracket a little bit. 2 times k plus 1 will be 2k plus 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. So it's 2k plus 1 x. Okay. So, well, we may just get a common denominator, add them up. So 2 sine x sine 2kx plus 2 sine x cosine 2k plus 1 x. And then you have to think about what to do. Okay, it seems like that we haven't used part A yet. So let's try to use that. Okay, in part A, we try to get the formula for sine 2nx. Okay, here. And it seems that in our thing, we have a sine 2kx. So that looked like a good way to use, okay, the first part. Okay, so I would copy this while changing n to k. I'm sorry if you can see this, but trust me, I'm just copying. K plus, okay, then I copy the rest. Okay, let's see what kind of magic would appear. Okay, it seems like this is sine x, this is also sine x. Cosine 2k plus 1x, this is also cosine 2k plus 1x. And for multiplication, it's okay to swap, right? It's okay to swap the order. So they are basically the same term. You have minus 1 of them plus 2 of them, so 1 of them is left. Plus sine, okay. Maybe write cosine first. Look easier. Okay, do you got this? So minus 1 copy plus 2 copy. There's 1 copy left. Okay, then you have to figure out what this is, or you don't, because you kind of know the answer. We kind of need the final answer to be this. Sorry, you can't say this, to be this, except k becomes k plus 1. Therefore, we kind of need the final answer to be sine 2k plus 1 x over 2x. Okay, now with this in mind, it should be easy to see what to do here, because 2k plus 1x plus another x would be 2k plus 2x, while you can factorize 1, 2 out. Okay, and factorize a 2 out. So it would become exactly like this. So why can you suddenly add them up? Because again, the compound angle formula. If you have psi A plus B, okay, psi A plus B, it will be psi A cosine B plus cosine psi B. So it seems like we can just add them up. Okay, so it would be the same as psi 2k plus 1x plus another x divided by 2 psi x, which of course is this. And therefore, induction is done. Okay, you have to write a long passage. Okay, therefore, okay, if the case for n equal to k is true, then the case for n equal to k plus 1 is also true. Therefore, by mathematical induction, you should spell the whole thing, alright? MI is not legitimate. By mathematical induction, the statement, okay, here's where you should copy the whole thing. Okay, copy the question, the statement blah 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 is true for all n being positive integer. Okay, copy the thing, spell MI. Okay, and that's it. That's part B. Okay, now it's time to do part C. Okay, let me copy what's part C. Part C says solve equation. Solve the equation cosine x plus cosine 3x 0, while x is inside the range, okay, from 0 to pi. Okay, now if you suddenly have a part C there, and bear in mind that in the question after part C there's nothing else. Okay, there is a huge chance that you're gonna use the results from part A and B. Okay, and remember that during part B, if we try to prove the induction step, we have used part 1 already. So there is a high chance that we're gonna use part B because part 1 is used already. So in part B, what do we got? We kind of know that, okay, this is the question. If we have cosine x plus cosine 3x plus all the way up, we have this. How do you apply this? Well, the easiest way is, why don't we just take the first 2 terms? That is, you make n so small so that 3x is already the last term. To make 3x the last term, you want 2n minus 1 to be 3, which basically means you want n to be 2. Okay? Therefore, what you want to do is, from part B, okay, can you see this? From part B, take n to be 2. Therefore, by the induction part, we have cosine x plus cosine 3x equal to, okay, it's psi 2nx over 2 psi x. So it's psi, n is 2, so 4x over 2 psi x. Okay? Therefore, if we want to solve the equation, this equal to half is basically this equal to half. Therefore, we have psi 4x over 2 psi x equals to half. What you do is you multiply the bottom to the other side, so it's psi 4x equals to half times 2 is gone, equals psi x. Okay? I believe the reader that wants me to do a breakdown of part C have a problem here. Okay, what to do now? Oh my god, what is this? I think she's overthinking this because it look odd. Should look odd, but it's easier than you thought. Okay? Now, follow me here. If you can see that, if I tell you that psi x equal to, say, a half, what would you do, right? You would press a calculator, you would do shift sign or arc sign or inverse sign half, and that gives you x. And of course, if you're good enough, this is a special angle, and you can just tell the value. Well, what if I ask you what is psi x equal to sine 30 degree? Okay? Well, this is still a relatively simple question. X is just 30. Right? Therefore, when you see psi 4x equal to psi x, it's easier than you thought. You just do inverse sign on both sides. You get the fact that one solution is probably psi x equal to x. But Psi x equal to x yield the answer x equal to 0, which is not inside the range because 0 and pi are not included. So this is no good. So the question is this the only solution? The answer is no. Now, same for this equation. After you get the first answer, okay, by pressing calculator, x will be 30. You need to look at the cast diagram. I hope this is how you learn this. From the cast diagram, you can tell that there is another solution in quadrant 2. That is, there is one more answer by having 180 or pi, okay, 180 minus 30, okay. Same for here. If 30 is one answer, obviously 180 minus 30 is another, okay. Therefore, it's also the same with this question. If 4x equal to x is one answer, 180 minus x is also another answer, except that we are doing radian. The question is doing radian. So instead of 180, I do pi minus x. Okay. What does this yield? So you would add x to this side and then divide by 5. You get x equal to pi over 5. Okay. Is that all? I don't know, because there could be more answers in this range. So I should keep trying. What is the next one you get? The next one, you can add 2 pi, that is add 360 degree to the angle. So it's like 2 pi plus x. So it's like doing 360 plus 30 here. Okay, you can try pressing calculator. 360 plus any angle will give you the same thing when you try to side that, which of course is true. Okay, this gives you you minus this, so it's 2 pi over 3. Seems that this is still inside the range. So you really want to keep trying until you get something out of range. So if you add something, is 3 pi minus x, which give, I add 2 pi to this, yes. So which give me x being 3 pi over 5, okay, by the way, this doesn't count, it's rejected, okay, the 0 doesn't count, we need to keep trying. Next, we're gonna add 2 pi to this one, so it's 4 pi plus x already, we minus x divide, that gives you x equal to 4 pi over 3, which is bigger than a pi, it's outside the range, so this is also reject, that means we can stop, okay. Therefore, all the solution is just pi over 5, 2 pi over 3, and 3 pi over 5. That's it. So, I don't think the part C is really too tricky. I think it's handleable if you know the trick. So there are 2 tricks. First, how do you use the induction part? You actually just take n equal to 2, and you take the first 2 terms, okay? It's the same as taking n to be 2. After you do it, you can relatively easily get this, psi 4x equal to psi x. How do you solve this? It's easier than you think. It's basically doing this same technique while considering more possible solutions. So you should be, you have to be well known to this concept of more than one solution to trigonometric equations. And if the range is like infinite, you will have infinitely many solutions. Therefore, you just keep trying until you get every solution inside the range. If you really want to play safe, instead of just adding 2 pi to the original answer, you can also try subtracting 2 pi. But still, the fact that I start with 0 here, it's quite obvious that no matter what I go on the other side, will give me something so negative that wouldn't be inside. But just to play safe, you can try to do that yourself. And I hope this helped. I hope this was the question you meant. If this is not, please tell me. I would definitely do that breakdown for you as well. And for the other readers, you can just do the same. You can suggest some question that you got problems to me. I'm more than happy to do more breakdowns for you. Goodbye.